This time around, I am going to model this nightlight. All right, just a typical cheap nightlight that you would buy at a dollar store, and it has a cover as well that clicks on. I'm sure you've all seen these before, so you know, something like that. So just taking the cover off, and we'll have a go at modeling this. I'm not planning on doing materials, so I won't be doing the glass stuff and probably the filament inside. I'm just going to go for the general parts to it. So I took a couple of photographs of this, as you can see here. All right, so it's pretty simple to do, but even so, I still won't do some of the detail. I doubt I'm going to have these prongs, expand like this. We'll see. But I've taken a few pictures. We've got the switch here with some text on and off, and we've got sort of a tapered cylinder here, another cylinder here. The body can be made from a cylinder that we extrude out and then do a boolean here and a boolean there. And on this side we've got another hole that we can do a boolean with a cylinder and put a screw in there. I don't know about this part here. I didn't think about that really. And then I'll use one of these images to try and model the bulb as well. So all right, anyways, here I am in Blender. My screencast keys are on, and I think before I get started, I'm going to hit N to open the side panel, and I'm going to scroll down to display. I'm going to turn off the grid floor. Now, if I turn it on there, you would see it. So I'm going to turn off the grid floor, and I'm also going to come to Matte Cap, click on ambient occlusion, and change the shader to that one. I tend to use that one quite a bit. All right, I'm going to hit N to close that side panel, and I am going to do this in probably front view, ortho view, and yeah, we're just going to do this. So I'm going to hit Shift A to bring up the Add menu. And at this first selection, mesh, I'm going to choose a cylinder, but before I do anything, I actually want to bump this up to 64. All right, just to make it a little smoother. So hitting 7 to look in top view, I can see my cylinder there. I'm going to hit the Tab key to bring up this little menu here and go into edit mode, but you could of course do that down here. Just go to edit mode right there, and that's fine. I'm going to hit A to deselect and Z to go into wireframe. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to box select some vertices. If I was not in wireframe, if I was just in solid and I did this, all right, which is what I'm going to be doing, I really only get those top vertices. It doesn't sort of see through the whole object, but in wireframe mode it does. So I hit B to box select. I'm just going to press, I guess it's the left mouse button, and draw a rectangle around all of these vertices, and I'm going to pull them down a ways like this, and I want to straighten these ones out. So I want to straighten them on the y-axis here. I want them to be at y0, sort of right down there, instead of at various y coordinates. So I'm going to go S for scale, y0, and that will zero out, and left mouse button to accept, A to deselect. Let's come out of wireframe and look at what we've got. So that thing right there, all right, is similar to some extent, not that, sorry guys, to this, all right, sort of a cylinder that I've extruded out straight. Now I don't know if I want to do a cut in it, we'll see about that later. So I'm now going to cut into this piece so we get this, all right. Okay, so that's what we have so far. All that looks fine. Now, and I'm going to bevel it later. I'm going to add the beveling later. Okay, Shift A, select a cube, bring it forward. I'm going to hit 3 to go into a side view, and I'm going to bring this up so I can see how far I'm cutting in. I want to cut in a ways like that, down a ways, you know, that kind of thing. I also want to scale in the X and make sure it's just wide enough to cut the whole thing. Okay, now I'm going to refer to my actual nightlight here, and I realize it's not that far in. It's not quite that far down either. Something like that's going to be good enough. Okay, so I'm going to perform a Boolean now on this. So I'm going to select this piece, come over to the wrench icon, choose Add Modifier Boolean, and for the operation I'm going to choose Difference, and I'm going to click the eyedropper and select the cube. I can see a little bit of a white line here. That means that my Boolean has worked. I'm going to hit Apply. I'm going to select the cube again and hit H just to hide it for now. So I've cut that out, and that's fine. So we'll look back at the real thing. Okay, so far so good. Yeah, all right, I can live with that. At the back of this is another region where there is a Boolean, as you can see right there. Let's see if I got that picture there. So I'm going to bring in the cube, and I'm going to cut like down there as well. So I'm going to unhide, Alt H to unhide that cube, and I'm now going to pull it back here, and I'm going to bring it down in a ways. Not too far, but that's actually okay. It doesn't seem to extend that far, so to scale it in the X, I'm going to try that position and see how it looks. So I'm going to select my main object again, add Boolean, difference, and select that, hit Apply, and hide this, and let's see what that looks like. Okay. Yeah, I think I can live with that. Now, there's also an indentation in here, right? A cutaway here for the switch. So while I'm at it, I'm going to reveal that cube again, and I'm going to scale it down. And I'm going to use this to make that cut. I just have to see where. So this is not quite in the middle because I need to leave some room for the text. So maybe a third of this is text region, and then 2/3 is all of this. So I think I want to scale this in the Z and bring it up to about there. Let's see how far. Let's push this in a good ways, and we'll cut out a region to make the switch, and we'll still leave some room for the text below. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, select my main object, Boolean, difference, select the cube, apply, hide. All right, that looks okay. Now, I can probably reuse this cube again one more time because I'm going to want to create the spots where the prongs come out of. See, there's slight indentations here, and then the prongs come out. I don't have to call prongs. So let's scale this in the X. And this might be a little bit more exaggerated. Scale it in the Y as well, or the Z, sorry. And I am going to scale it in the Y to make it longer because I want it to cut in. These might be a little bit bigger in my model than they are in reality. I don't know. I find it looks a little bit better and more cartoony. So let's say that let's go to about there. Were indented that far or pushed in that far, and that was the space I wanted. Now let's just look one more time at this. They are roughly in the middle, and then there's this text stuff here, so I think I'll just leave them kind of in the middle or close to the middle. All right. Now, to get another one on the exact same side, because my 3D cursor is right there, I am going to use the mirror. So select this, choose mirror, and I want to mirror across this object, right across that axis. So I'm just going to choose it, and it'll pop it in the other space. And I'm going to apply that. That's fine. Set my origin to geometry, because this is now one object, and it's right in the middle. I don't know if that wasn't really necessary, but I just wanted to do it anyhow. I'm going to use these to cut a Boolean out of this. All right, so Boolean difference those, apply, hide, and I've got my cut. Now I want to do a test of the bevel. Yeah. Okay, hang on. I'm going to try object apply scale. And I can get a bit of a bevel. It's not too extreme, but I am getting a bit of a bevel there. Let's try, wait. No. Just leave it there. Not much of a bevel, but it takes off some of the sharpness. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to worry about that later, because I want to do some more. I'm going to bring in a I think I'll bring in a cylinder, but I don't think I need 32 vertices anymore. I'll go down to that, and I'll scale it in Z. I'll just scale it in general, and then bring this up. I'll scale it some more. And this is going to fit, let me just have a quick look, pretty much down the center of this raised area there. I'll just put it on, and I think I'm going to join it to this. That being the case, I'll just try that again. Let's see if the bevel will work on this. It will. And if I wanted to smooth it, I can get some smoothing. I can play with those settings. You know, I can do stuff like this. I could talk about that later, so I'm not going to worry about that right now, though. Too much. That's okay. Yeah. Of course, when I do that, yeah, that's all right. Oh yeah. So if I put the smoothing back on and get more smoothing down there, I'll do stuff like that, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay, anyhow, what I do want to do is I want to create another cylinder, rotate X90, and scale it. And we'll bring it out, and we're going to have to scale it again. And this is going to cut through here. Scale it in the Y, and let's just have a look at the picture. It's about 1/3 into the cylinder and about 2/3 into this piece. So let's make it a bit bigger, like this. Something like that's not too bad, actually. How far down does it go, though? And there's a little bit of space underneath. I'm just looking at this area. And then that's okay. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and try another Boolean. Now, I'm going to get rid of the bevel. And go Boolean difference with the cylinder, apply, hide the cylinder. So I've got my hole in there now. Okay, now to make the screw, I'm going to take this back piece here, this face. I'm going to select that face. I'm going to copy it and make it a new object and build the screw so it's roughly the right size. So I'm going to go Shift D to copy it. P brings up the separate, and I'm going to separate this face essentially by the area that's selected. All right, so I've done it. Now I'm going to go back to object mode. I've got this object selected. If I click there, you may not be able to tell, but if I set the origin as geometry, I can actually move that object. I've created a new object there. I'm just going to scale it in a little bit, and I'm going to build a screw out of this. So I'm going to go into edit mode, A to select, E to extrude, and I'm going to extrude out this way. It doesn't have to be too far. Let's zoom in a little bit on this, and I'm going to bevel this. Go Control B, pull back with my mouse, roll my mouse wheel up till I get a bunch of segments, and accept, and that sort of rounds this off, and I can make this into a screw. All right, now I'm going to put a design on here, sort of a cross for, you know, how you put the screwdriver in, and so I want to cut into this. So I'm going to go Shift S, cursor to selected. My 3D cursor is now on this, so when I bring in another object that I want to use to cut into this, it's going to come in at the position of the screw. So Shift A, choose mesh, cube, and scale. See the way it's right at the screw. Let me just pull it out a little bit. So let's zoom into that. Scale it in the X, kind of like that. Scale it in the Z. We'll go up to maybe there. Just make sure it's actually cutting in, sort of like nice and deep like that. Okay, I'm going to copy this, Shift D, and rotate Y 90 degrees. So I get this cross shape, and I'm going to Shift select both of them, and go Control J to make just one object. All right, so I've got this cross thing there, and it's poking in, and that's going to be the shape of my indentation in the screw. So I'm going to do a Boolean. I'm going to select the screw part, Boolean, difference, choose the cross thing. Now something funny has happened. So I'm going to back up, Control Z a few times. Now take this object and go, and we'll do object, apply, rotation, and scale. You'll notice it switched colors, so the normals are all screwed up. So select it all, Control N will flip the normals so they're all consistent. I should be able to do my Boolean now. Difference, select my cross, hit apply, hide, and I've made my indentation. Now I can smooth this, but if it looks weird, I'm just going to come up, well, let's try the edge split. There you go. All right, there's the edge split modifier without it and with it. Sharpen the edges up. I'm going to hit apply, and I'm going to accept that, and I am now going to move the screw in. I can start by pulling the arrow, but eventually I can't grab the arrow anymore, so I'm just going to go, I'm going to say G, Y, go or grab in the Y direction. I'm going to push back, that's too far. I can hold Shift if I want to go slower, just so I see the white start to disappear. Okay, it's in there, but I don't like the size. I want it bigger, so I'm going to scale it, but I don't want to scale it in the Y direction, just in the X and the Z. So I'm going to go S, Shift Y, so it's not scaling in the Y direction. That kind of thing. Now let's see how crazy that is compared to that one. All right, this one's got a slight, it's almost circular and then cross, but I'm going to leave it like that. If we wanted to, we could rotate in the Y if you didn't like it, you know, straight. If that bothered you. I guess we should be saving this. Nightlight. Oh, geez. Nightlight video. I don't know if I spelled that right or not, but it won't really matter. Yeah, I guess I did. Okay, so far so good. Let's if I join these, I'll probably, let's go. Oh, that's all right so far. Okay. Let's Alt H and bring everything back that we've used. Let's get, I don't have to get rid of that. I do want to get rid of this little cross. All right, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take this, we'll make the top part. Let's rotate this, rotate X 90. Looking in top view. Let's bring this into the center. All right. Let's scale this, but not in the Z. I don't need it any taller right now. Shift Z, scale Shift Z. Let's bring it out like that. All right, we're going to make the top part here. So it comes roughly to where the hole of the screw was. That's fine. And how far out does it go? Not quite to the edges. So we can go scale Shift Z again. I just don't want it to come too far forward though either. I think we're okay. I think we are all right there. Let's edit this object, grab this face, let's bring it up a bit more, and let's start scaling it in to create that taper. Okay, right there. All right, I think I'll bring it up more. Not so much. All right, let's create the socket. So I to inset and pull in a little bit. Get this effect, and then we're going to extrude down to make the hole. E, extrude down, and I'm just going to pull down a certain ways. It doesn't have to go down super far. So we have that. Okay, but it's very sharp. The edges are sharp, just like as these are right now. And so I am going to bevel them. Control Tab brings up this mesh selection mode, in case I haven't mentioned that. I'm going to choose edge selection. And actually, now that I think about it, before I do this, I am going to go Object, Apply, Rotation, and Scale, because I made some changes. My effects will happen better this way. I'm going to select this edge, so Shift, Alt, and click the edge. If I just do that, I only get a piece of it. If you go Shift and Alt, hold them and click it, you get the whole line. Shift, Alt, that whole line. Shift, Alt, that whole line. Now I'm going to bevel these by hand, so I'm going to go Control B, and I'm going to pull back on my mouse, and you'll start to see this effect. You don't want to go crazy, so it goes like that. Just a little, create a little bit of a region or a little bit of a lip. Roll your mouse up 1, 2, I'm going to go maybe 3 times. Okay, and I can still adjust, you know, my mouse. So I'm going to want it maybe there. Deselect and come out and see. Yeah, see, I've created this sort of smoothness, and it catches light. Now I'm going to hit smooth, and you know it'll smooth it down nicely. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the inside right now. So far so good. We're coming along. Let's now on these pieces I've left in. So let's have a look at this right here. Okay, they're the exact same size as the holes they cut, but I can use these to make those prongs. And the way I'm going to do this is I want to scale both of them the same. I don't want to work on one and then the other. So they're joined right now. So I'm going to go into edit mode. And they're both selected there. They're both deselected. If I hit A, they both select as one object. If I just go scale in the X right now, see what happens. They get pulled towards each other. But if I switch down here to individual origins, watch what happens if I say S or scale X. It scales them individually in the X axis. All right, now the problem is I can't see anything, so I'm going to turn it. Even 1 would give me the right-on view. So scale in the X. Just want there to be a bit of a gap. Let's do the same in the Z direction. Scale in the Z. Pull them down a bit. Okay, now is that looking a little bit more convincing or a little bit more similar to the original? Now I am starting to think they're actually not long enough. They should be a little bit longer, so I'm going to go into face mode, select both of these, just bring them forward a touch, just like that. Now I'm going to come out of that, and I'm going to do Object, Apply. I can't remember if I rotated them or not, but Rotation and Scale. So I'm going to want to bevel these by hand again. So I'm going to go into Edge Select mode, and I just want to bevel them like, should Should I just do the edges first? Select all these edges here. I'm going to round these. Control B, pull back, and you see it's starting to cut those edges. Put in 3 or 4 or 5 selections or segments by rolling the mouse like that, and deselect and just have a look at that. Okay, so I've rounded these a little bit. Looks a bit better. And if I do this and this, and I select all these edges all the way around on all of them, okay, and I do Control B again and pull in, I should be able to get some roundness there. Now I don't want too much. I'm just going to go with 1. Deselect and have a look at that. Okay, so just overall they look beveled. Save this, and now we're going to bring in a cylinder, and I'm not worried about where it comes in, so I'm just going to go bring in cylinder. Let's rotate it around the Y, 90. I want it to lay like this. I want to create a hole in here. Scale it down to a smaller size and position it. Scaling the X now to pull it through just like that. And 3 we can look on the side, just kind of figure out where we want to place this. Something like that would be all right. Okay, so I'm going to use this, and I'm going to punch a hole through these. So I'm going to select this object, Boolean, difference, eyedropper to that, apply, hide, and there are my holes. Now, if I wanted to, I could go into edit mode on these. They're still selected because we just did a Boolean. I could go into edge mode, and I could select that, the outer edge, trying to make sure I got the whole thing on the inside and on the outside. Both of these at the same time, like that and like this. And if I'm lucky, I can bevel these. So I've selected the outer edge. I'm going to go Control B, gently pull back and watch. Something like this, 1, 2 segments, deselect, and I get that effect. Now, can I smooth these? If I get that weird coloration, I could come over to here and I could choose an angle like 25, no, 12, and that kind of clears it up. Save. And I think that's going to be it for my electrical things, but I still feel like they're not long enough. Anyways, you can manipulate that however you like. So there's those. Now, of course, if I hit Alt-H, I have a lot of junk here, or at least that to get rid of. Anything else? No. Okie doke. So what we need to do now, I just want to double check. I want to check the, okay, so smoothing is all weird when I do that. So we'll come over and we'll try, I guess we had 25 on from before. That's working just fine. Okay, so far so good. Let's work on the switch back here. To do this, I'm going to go into edit mode of that object and face, and I'm going to select that face, okay? Because I'm going to go Shift S, cursor to selected. It's going to make it easier to bring in an object right at that spot. Deselect and come out, and Shift A and bring in a cylinder. Let's scale it in Z, and just scale it in general. And I'll adjust this. I'm just going to push it in here to make part of that. I'm going to scale it back in the Z like that. Push it in a bit more. Scale it in the X. It doesn't have to be a perfect cylinder, it's just a round spot. And I think I will smooth that, and then I'll get that effect. And so I'm going to select it and go into edit mode, and if I add an edge loop and push it up to there and one down to here, you know, it'll look a little bit more reasonable. So for maybe that part there. Ah, geez. Maybe I'll pull it out a little bit. Not that. It's still sticking through a bit. No problem. I'm going to scale, but not in the Z direction. Make it a bit smaller and pull it forward. There, so this doesn't go over there. Oh, that's not a problem. Okay, that's there. Let me just fix that up though. That's bothering me. Let's move this edge up higher. I'll move it right up to the top because we're not essentially not. Well, we'll do it there. Okay. Just want to see if I can bring it forward a little bit, and if it pushes through. See when it pushes through. That's going to be fine right there. Cool. Save. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, what am I going to do? I'm going to do another cylinder. Mesh. Cylinder. Let's just bring this guy out. Scale it. It's going to be pretty high in the Z, so we're going to go scale Shift Z. Make it nice and small. Bring it back. That is too tall, so scale in the Z. Okay, let's zoom in on this. Yeah, that's something like that's going to be okay. And we're going to make the switch. Let's scale it a bit bigger, but maybe not in the Z. Scale Shift Z. Let's make it like that. And I want to sort of flatten this, so let's scale this in the Y. Flatten it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to come into this, and let's look straight on it. Not that well. One is that side, Control 1 is the exact opposite. What we're going to do is in face select mode, I see my center is right there, so I'm going to grab these two, those are centered, Shift and select all 4 of those. Okay, because we're going to create the handle part. It might be the handle. E to extrude and pull these out like that. Okay, so do I want to do? See, it's they're a little bit curved. It won't really matter. That's going to face backwards in a minute. Scale Y 0. Straighten them out in the Y. Okay, because there's the Y going up like this. There's like 0 and 1, 2, 3. So they're flat like that. It's not really that critical. But let's rotate this. Let's do origin geometry first, though. Let's rotate this around Z. Rotate Z 180. And we'll push it back in. Now maybe it's a little bit long, but maybe whatever. That would essentially be my screw. Now let's switch. Let's try the bevel and go to 2 and let me adjust this. Let's try that and let's try smooth. Okay. And I could worry about how I rotate this, but I'm not going to. Let's just rotate in the Z and just do this and swing it over to here and call it done, pretty much. Right? Scale out. Whether I apply that or not doesn't really matter. But okay, let's add text to this. I think Control 1 was the back exactly. Let's go Shift A. Where am I going? Text. Oh boy. Okay, let's rotate Z 180 first of all, and then rotate X 90, but minus, and origin geometry, and bring this sucker out. Okay, let's go over to the text tab over here and choose center. So the text is centered. Yeah, whatever, that. Okay, and we'll bring it back a little ways and down. And let's start scaling it. And have a look at the picture. So let's find, it says off over there. Okay, and on over there. So let's hit tab, go to edit mode, and this one's going to say in capital letters off. Go to object mode, and we'll just try a different font. find your font folder and just choose a font that you want to use. I don't know. Let's try this one. Okay. Bring the depth up a bit, maybe the resolution. I'm just going to go with 1. That's probably okay. Side view. Bring it till it touches or makes contact. So if that was my off position, let's just look and see what that looks like. It's my off position. I'm just going to copy this, slide it over, and in edit mode, change it to say on. Let's see what those look like. I feel like I left quite a lot of space here. Okay, let's convert this to a mesh and join it to the body. Alt-C, there, Alt-C, mesh, both, oops. Both of these in the body, Control-J, done. I could probably join those, join all that as well. Selecting things and pressing Control-J. How about these? If I do that, I get a different smoothing effect on this, and that's okay. Let's try 20. It's not too bad. I have various things I could do about that later. Okay, so this is what we have so far. I want to look at the real thing for a minute. I'm not sure about this next part. Just adding some edge loops here. Do one more. Almost equal. Something like that. Oh, I don't know. What about this? Do I want to do this? If I do that, and I extrude the whole thing a little bit, you know, I'm just creating that shape. I'm trying to decide if I want to just gently, not there, not there, under there. Oh, jeez. You know, do I want to do that? Space might as well, since I'm this far along. So let's see, is that gently going in, not too far? I mean, I could bevel these. The way I normally would do something like this is I would first of all go apply rotation to scale, and I'd come over here and I would take this edge, not that one, that edge and that edge, and this edge and this edge, this one and this one, maybe even these internal ones here, and I'd bevel these. I'd round them out a little bit. Control B, pull back, just a little bit, you know, did that kind of thing. Okay, so that wasn't exactly straight. I mean, obviously I just did it so. And we'll go ahead and we'll try a bevel or a boolean. Boolean difference using this tool as the cutter. Apply, hide. You know, and you get that indentation. Now that's a little bit deep, but you can see it's got a little bit of roundness to it. You know, around here and here and here. And if I really wanted to, but this is pretty messy, there's a chance I could, no, there's very little chance. No, I'm not even going to try to bevel that. I'm not going to bother. Okay, so anyways, there's the indentation. Okay, Alt H, X. And I mean, there's text on there, but I'm not going to bother to do that. But you could, just to make it a little bit more realistic. Okay, now where are we at? I think it's probably be time to do the bulb, but just one more time. Everything is joined together, is it not? Except for that. Let's join that as well. Why not? Okay, so it's all together. Is there any chance I can bevel? No, not really. Okay, it's too crazy anyhow, right? It's all smoothed, flat. It's all smoothed, all with the same smoothing angle. Right, 20. And if I go up to 25, that stuff looks good. These are bad, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. Oh, and I'm going to select the faces. I'm going to hit E to extrude and accept. And don't tell anyone I'm doing that because it's a horrible way probably of fixing this problem. But I'm doing it anyhow. Seems to work for me. So you can do it if you like, not do it if you don't like. That makes sense. Okay, cool. So far we've got this, and now all we need is the bulb. And I don't know about the casing. So we're gonna get this bulb, right? And I'm thinking I don't like any of these pictures. Maybe that one. I don't know. 7500. We could try it. Okay. Side view. I'm gonna come over to my side panel N and background images. Add image. Open. Let's go to my reference images, and oh geez, it really doesn't matter which one I choose. I think at this point, I think I had that one I was thinking about. Do I want to rotate 90? Yeah, I do want to rotate 90. And that's going to be fine. I'm going to go to another layer. Well, yeah. I'm just going to model this. Oh, jeez. Close that panel. Now, it's not great, the image. Well, you can. I could actually adjust the opacity. I could try and see. Nah, it's because I photographed it on my table. Doesn't matter, because what I want to do is I'm going to trace the outline. I think it goes like that. All right. I've got the real one here so I can kind of compare. And I'm going to use the screw modifier. So I'm going to go Shift A, add a plane, rotate X 90, go to edit mode, switch to vertex, and go Alt M, merge and center. And I've done a bunch of videos using this technique, so if that was going quick for you, you could always go and watch any of the other ones that I've done. I'm going to bring this up to the top, and again, it doesn't matter if it's not perfectly you know, centered. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this even though I can't see very well, and we'll see what it turns out like. So turning off my transform tool, and I've got my point selected. I'm going to hit E to extrude and G to grab or go, and I'm just going to keep repeating E and G, and I'm going to trace the outline of this. I think I'm losing. Oh gee, losing the ability to see. Well, I could have searched for a light, a bulb online and got a good picture. I just wanted to do it myself. And then I'm just going to come down and straighten out. Just like that. That's good enough. Okay. E and G and X to constrain it. G and X on the x-axis. Come back to roughly 0. Keep that point selected. Select that point. So they're both selected. Hit N to open the side panel. 0 out the x coordinate. Okay. That'll do that for both of these points. N to close that panel. A to deselect. Back to object mode. It's okay. I can still edit this. Let's use the screw modifier. Choose screw. Looks terrible. Switch the axis to the y-axis. Still looks terrible. Add a subdivision surface of 2. Still looks terrible. Edit. Let's take this. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. G to I should have constrained it. GZ and bring it down a bit. And let's work on this. Just hit G a bunch of times every time just to move. How does that look? Well, first of all, one thing is I'm going to take that point. I'm going to delete that point. I'll straighten this out a bit. And I think I'll take this. It's box select. I don't know what points I've got there. G and just bring them out a little bit. And this one I'll play with. You know, so you just, I don't know, sort of massage the, looks more like a balloon. Okay, I see. It does come out sort of like that. It does round out here. Boy, I'm not that good at doing this. Okay, I'm going to accept the screw modifier, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this to the first layer, and we're going to see how horrible this is. Take this, add use my transform tool, move it to about there. Doesn't look too bad. It's probably not the best color for it, but all right. Well, that is pretty much it, I guess. Let's try maybe, geez, I don't know. How does that look? Terrible. Odd. I just want to choose a reasonable shader to do a quick render here. What I would do is just do an OpenGL renders, just increase the size of the resolution, and just do that. Okay, or choose a different position and do that. Okay, so that's my nightlight video.